Doing podcast, guys. Welcome back to Cozy One Podcast. Today we're talking parental syndrome with Krystal. Okay, I got kinfolk from college on the line, and we
Yes,
are going to
indeed.
chop it up. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. We're going to talk about her podcast. We're going to talk about her show, where you can find her show, and then we're going to get into parental syndrome. So, welcome to Cozy One Podcast. This is a show where we talk about everything parent-like, kid-like, and surviving your kids. And sometimes kid-like mannerisms can be found in adults, unfortunately. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so, I'm so excited. I'm glad to be finally working with you again, not for a grade.
Right? Not a group project, but we're here. This is a project, but it's a good, I want to do this project.
Right, exactly.
So we're good. So tell us a bit about your show and what you have planned for it and how's it going so far with the episodes.
All right. Well, my podcast is called the Grown A Folk Podcast.
Okay.
I don't want to say the actual cuss word because I know we're on Cozy Womb.
We know what it is.
Right. And that is folk without an S. So I went a little Southern with it, but the podcast is about relationships, and it's basically a safe space for people to come and discuss unpopular opinions, things that they didn't know about all different types of relationships, not just romantic, but friendships,
right,
relationships with your family, and just how we interact with each other, and how we can be more cognizant of some of the unhealthy or toxic things that we might do in relationships that we don't see that we're doing. And so it's been really, really fun for me so far. You can find it anywhere that your favorite place to listen to podcasts. So I'm on Anchor, I'm on Apple, all of them, all the good ones, Spotify. And so far, we're a new podcast. So far, I'm about 6 episodes deep, and we've discussed everything from the way that sometimes we can see ourselves and see little nuances in characters and movies, and how those relationships evolve and what happens there that we can learn from or see in ourselves, all the way down to, maybe your friend's a hater and you don't realize it.
Boy, a lot of those.
Exactly. So we've been having fun so far. So I hope everybody comes to give me a listen. It's been fun to do, and it was a challenge to myself, and I'm kind of proud of myself because I kind of overcame a lot of fears to be able to do it. So
yeah, that's all it is. And most of the time when you start podcasting, it's you overthinking it.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it's regular stuff that people want to hear coming from your perspective, and you never know that your perspective is different from the rest, where you'll think like, oh, somebody already talked about that, but not from your point of view.
Exactly. And what I'm finding out is that I have some very unpopular opinions. I mean, I take great joy in that because I'm an out of this box thinker. So for me to know that I think about things a little bit differently than everybody else brings me great joy. But I found out that some of the things that I think are not the general public.
But that's what I like, because I hate this illusion of, everybody thinks this and everybody thinks that, and that's the wrong way to do that. No, it's not. That might not be your way of doing it, but I always cling to the people in the pod world that have unpopular opinion. There's a podcast called Raw and Uncut, and it got Akeem on there with 2 other people, where they share perspective from like the alpha man point of view and women today, and how men are not showing up in the way that they should. And a lot of points of view that Akeem has, a lot of people hate to hear it.
Yeah.
But it makes logical sense. So
Yeah.
I welcome people with unpopular opinions on things. I feel like that's what we need in order to think outside of ourselves, because a lot of people
Yeah.
like their way is the only way, and that's not true. So I
Yeah.
welcome that stuff. Okay. And
Yeah.
have you been on a Clubhouse?
I have been on a Clubhouse. The thing with me is that I am no social butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to get on there and, make a room or talk,
Mm-hmm.
it is still daunting for me.
Yeah.
But my husband has challenged me
Okay.
for the spring to get on to Clubhouse and to also get on to the other one, Stereo,
Mm-hmm.
and just act stupid and see what happens.
You know what? It's a lot of rooms. The reason why I brought that up is because your podcast is relationship formatted, right? And
Mhm.
there's a lot of rooms on there with topics like um black men don't deserve, or women today are this, or it's just very like, this is my point and this is what I'm going to title the room. And some of
Yeah.
the rooms you can have a healthy discussion on topics,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
some of the other rooms there's no organization and it gets
Yeah.
lost. But I like to get like a feel of like what is on people's minds and what they're thinking. Some of it is really sad as to what topics the rooms are, but some of the
Yeah.
rooms are like, Sunday nights, especially, like they'll play music all the way through. So it's kind of like having a live DJ with you as you clean your house.
Oh,
And
that's what's up.
some have like jazz rooms in the morning. It's really, really good for networking. So like if you
Mhm.
want to talk to like executives, or people that's talking about manifestation, or people that's really giving you a space to just market what you're doing. If you have a
Mhm.
show, if you have a brand, if you're offering any type of services, if you're looking for content creators or help with anything graphics, it's like a room with all these people that are within voice reach. You see
Mhm.
links, you can tap in, y'all can exchange information. So it's like a voice version of LinkedIn.
Yeah, and you are not the first person to tell me that. My best friend, she just graduated. She has her PhD, and so that's what she's like, in networking mode, like hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
And she was telling me that, and I don't know, I'm not on at the right times because I'm on West Coast time, but I
Mm-hmm.
have to dig a little deeper because I haven't been finding any of the good stuff. Like all the stuff I've been coming across is like the trash of the app.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to
Yeah.
give it a little bit more time and investigation, because I've had, multiple people have told me that there are really some gems on there,
Yeah.
especially like for content mining and like finding ideas for topics for the podcast and
Mhm.
stuff. So yeah, I got to get up off my tush on that one.
Yes, yes. I would say that, and stereo is kind of like hit or miss. Some people come on there and they don't have a topic, and they'll wait for somebody to come up with a great topic and then wait for a different day and they'll steal it. So what I
Hmm.
try to do with stereo is put up my full topic idea at like the last hour before I get on. That way it's like fresh opinions. People get like a good show. And
Yeah.
that's what I really like about stereo. It's like a live radio show that you can basically move and have your way. So that's why I
Yeah.
like it. Hmm.
That's what I like about it too. But I mean, you are basically the only person that I listen to on there. Like I'm always like, I get the notifications when you got
Yes, I
something popping.
appreciate it. I
But
appreciate it. I try to get on there and listen to other people's shows, but I am like, first of all, I'm training from home Monday through Friday. And I'm
mm,
at this desk from 7 a.m. to 4:30. And then if I do
oh
OT,
yeah.
I'm still here. I'm thinking about doing some OT tonight. Um, and then on the weekends, it's like filling in everything I can't do during the week
Hmm.
and the
Hmm.
girls. And then today I did like some gardening, so I'm like tired and I'm just like, I really don't want to do overtime, but it's Monday. I could get it in because I'm really not doing anything. So it's really balancing the time. So Wednesday
Yeah.
nights I do stereo, Thursday nights I do stereo, and Saturday nights I do stereo. And sometimes Sunday if somebody wants to do a show with me. So I'm always looking to
Yeah.
do a show. So just let me know and I can
Yeah, maybe we could do one together. That'd be cool.
yes, we can pick topics before. I like to have my topics before so I can make my points. Sometimes we get
Yeah,
on there and we
absolutely.
freestyle it, but I've had shows that are like an hour. I have shows with people, complete strangers that are like 4 hours, and I'm just like, what are we talking
Yeah,
about?
I was there for one of those. I forget the guy's
Yes.
name, but like when y'all got to talking about ordering at Jamaican restaurants, I was like,
Oh, you
okay,
was on
they
there with
really
Sage. Yes, yes, that was a good one, and it would have been longer, and he didn't have to go somewhere. But yeah, that was really good. That was really good. But tell these people, are you doing the show specific days, or do you just randomly post for the show?
So at first I was doing on Sundays,
Mm-hmm.
but the way my Sundays are set up, it's like I between meal prepping and
Come
trying to
on,
make
meal
sure
prep.
that I got my spirit right for Monday. Sunday
Come on,
just didn't work
spirit.
out. Yes. So now we're doing every Wednesday.
Yeah.
I usually post around 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
We are once a month because my I have an episode called Nina Smokes. And it's
Mm.
about the fact that in Love Jones, Nina starts to smoke about halfway through the movie,
Yeah.
as influenced by Darius. And so that was like the most feedback I've gotten, about an episode. And so
Mm.
now once a month, I'm going to do like a week long thing where I
Mm-hmm.
talk about a movie on that Monday. And then the other 6 days of the week, we're going to take pieces from the movies and it'll be a topic for a podcast episode. So
Mm-hmm.
1 week a month, I'm going to have 7 episodes for that week. But other than that, it'll be just Wednesdays.
That's interesting. Nobody's done that I know of. So that's good.
Well, thank you. The thing about it is that I'm also a writer,
Mm-hmm.
and so characterization and the different things that people do in movies and the way that people react to those things or don't react a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times can say a lot. It's just very interesting to me. And so a lot of people told me that my viewpoint on that and what I was able to pull from that was, it was interesting. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And the first themed week that we're going to do is going to be based off of Malcolm and Marie, the Netflix movie.
I haven't watched that yet. No.
I liked it. A lot of people didn't, but I did like it. It's like a Black film noir
Mm-hmm.
type deal. And I really did like it, but there's a lot of deep stuff in there that if you can pinpoint it,
Mm-hmm.
you got about a good 5 podcast
Man,
episodes.
that first week when they came out, there were so many rooms on Clubhouse about that movie, and they were picking out all the toxic things, and people were
Mm-hmm.
reflecting on how they were in relationships, and did those type of things come up, and dependability and guilt tripping on people
Mm-hmm.
to take advantage and all of that. So yeah, it was really good. It was really good. I need to watch it. I need to stop stalling and
You
watch
should.
it. So, all right, so that's the show. So let's squeeze into this topic here.
Okay.
You brought
All
up
right.
something when we were speaking, and you said something about parental syndrome. Now, when I Googled it, a lot of parental alienation came up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure if that's along the lines of what you're talking about, but that was just touching on like things that a parent uses to foster like kids rejection of the other parent, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like using a child against the other parent to get them
Mm-hmm.
back for something or make them feel bad. What is parental syndrome in your mind?
So for me, parental syndrome is when you have parents who play their own childhood or their own shortcomings out on their children. So parental alienation syndrome, I have heard of that before, and it is something that happens in a lot of families, especially where there's a single parent or you watch a divorce happen. But in the instance that I was kind of thinking of, or that I think of when I say that, is the fact that my parents used the things that they never were able to do in their childhood to kind of make my brother and I either use it as a tool for guilt or to get us to, do what they wanted, or as a cautionary tale, that sort of thing. It can be a very toxic behavior, but I feel like when I was younger, my mother and my father were divorced. I don't remember them ever having been together.
Okay.
And so my mother, she had no choice but to take me with her to like family court when they were fighting for child support. And so I remembered all of the heated arguments that they would have in the family court, like with my father calling her names and things like that. And for me, that it did hurt me, and it did make me look at my father differently, but I still grew into essentially a daddy's girl. And so his excuse for that behavior was always, oh, you never saw what your mama did. She was always so composed in front of you. And that gave him that kind of, in my child's mind, that was him taking accountability. But now as an adult, I can see that is the antithesis
blame
of accountability.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that is what I mean when I say parental syndrome. It's like they feel like the things that they've gone through and the things that they've done are justifiable and you should learn from it all. When in actuality, from my parents' marriage, I learned what not to do. I think their marriage has made mine more successful because they wanted me to pull all these cautionary tales, but I did, but just in a different way than what they intended.
Yeah. Okay. So I've seen this in multiple ways. One, it will be parents from a generation where they weren't allowed to choose what they wanted for careers. And they're telling you, I want you to go to college. When in all actuality, maybe what you want to do, you don't necessarily have to go to college for. I can say I'm the only one of my mom's children that went to college, and my mom was really excited about me going to college. And for her, I think the mental goal was like, I want her to go to school so she can have a better life and be better than me. And school is going to make her great. When in all actuality, school doesn't make you great. It just gives you a whole bunch of debt. And I would say I have a lot of debt now because I thought, one, I was making my mom proud. Two, I was going about what I wanted as a career the right way. And three, I just wanted her to have something that her child pursued, completed, and boom, she got it. And so a majority of the percentage of me going to college was for my mom. 2 years of college I loved, 2 years of college I hated, but I'm not a quitter, so I finished it.
Yeah.
Another thing could be like if your parents have like a family business and they want their son or their daughter to take over the business, and maybe that's not their son or their daughter's passion, and they make you feel guilty for wanting something different.
Yep.
So there's many ways that does show up. And
I think that living vicariously through your children has a certain level of innate toxicity. It's like it just starts off toxic. It starts off at 100. My mother when she divorced my father, she never married again. I have only seen her, I'm 37, I've seen her have maybe 2 boyfriends in my life. And so when I told my mother at 19, hey, Mom, my husband just proposed. We're getting married. Her response
19.
was, yeah, 19, girl. It'll be
Woo-hoo!
19 years this summer.
Wow. Congrats.
And when I told her that I was getting married, her response was, well, why do you have to get married? Y'all already live together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, ew. And the thing about it is, a lot of people can say that maybe that's just because you were 19. No, she would have had the same reaction if I was 27.
Yeah. And I maybe that's more so of her failed marriage that she was like, no to.
Exactly.
When in all actuality, if a man wants to propose to a woman that they care about, that they've already been living with, that's a plus, because there's a lot of men today that's been living with a woman for like 20 plus years and they don't want to propose, and they are living like they're married. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And for me, it was a struggle. It's been a struggle, especially since my father passed, because I've had to reconcile like real truths about him. And then you have this thing of not wanting to speak ill of the dead. And like I said, my father, I'm a daddy's girl. So yeah. I love my father to death, but he was good. He was good for me as a father, but as a husband or a boyfriend or a person in a relationship, he was a jerk. So it's just like you just have to reconcile those things in your head, and you have to decide what of it you want to take with you, what of it is going to be a burden, and what of it you're going to let go. And that can be really difficult, especially without therapy.
Yeah, I do this because, you know, I'm a creative by heart, and my kids watch me and they study me and they want to do what I can do, and they want to know why their drawing is not as good as mine, and they, you know, how do I do this? And Anya even has like a podcast show, and
yeah, I saw,
right, and I'm just like, you don't have to do this. But they're girls and they want to imitate and they want to duplicate, and I'm trying so hard not to say, you know, I'm artistic, you need to draw, and you need to paint, and you need to write. You don't need to do anything you don't want to do. And I want their natural passions or whatever they love to come out when it's time. And I don't want to be in their way of it because I do this or I am this, because yes, those are my kids, but those are two separate individuals who have their own ideas, their own outlook. And I don't want to get in their way of that as a parent. Their dads don't get in their way of whatever it is that they want to do. But what I do as a parent is I try my best to tell them the truth about all of the things that didn't work for me, all of the things that sound good but aren't really good, and I tell them the downside to the things where they feel like, oh, this is cool, da 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 da. Well, okay, it is cool, but this is the other side to that, and I give them balance in everything. I'm very honest with them. If I'm watching something that might not be childlike and Anya sees and she'll be like, what is she doing? I said, oh girl, that's cocaine. Because I don't, today's kids have too much access, and I don't want her ever to be in a surrounding where she sees that substance or she sees someone doing that and they tell her, oh, that's nothing but a flower. You know, and she does something and she partakes. I want to put her up on anything that she sees or she observes. I want them to be prepared for every situation they walk into outside of my house. So I tell them stuff, but I'm not going to tell them, no, I don't want you to, you know, drive with your friends because you're going to crash, or this could happen, or that can happen. Anything can happen. You could be riding with me and someone can T-bone us going to Walmart. Like anything can happen. I don't want them to be scared to live. And I think with parental syndrome, how you explain it, a lot of parents can make their children feel guilty for wanting to live their lives and guilty for wanting to try something different. Even for me, coming from a island Caribbean family, where if they're in Jamaica, they assume if you live in America, you're well off. That's
Yeah.
off tops, right? And then they assume like if you come to America to work, do nursing
Yeah.
or be someone's nanny. That way you can make a lot of money. There's so many other careers outside of that, that if you say, I don't want to go to school for that, I don't want to do nursing, I don't want to take care of the elderly for money and paying my bills, I don't want to struggle, I don't want to clean anybody's house and not be able to be there for my kids, I
Yep.
want to choose this, they look at you like you crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And another side of that is, even my mother is a part, and not just genetically, my mother is a part of the reason why I have such horrible anxiety, because her fears became my fears. And I grew up just like, for instance, and I don't know, I'm making my parents sound horrible. My parents were wonderful people. They just have flaws.
Everybody has flaws.
Yeah. My mother, when I was little, she would say, like, if she took a Benadryl, she would be like, oh, I took like, say she took a Benadryl at 6 p.m. and then she forgets about that and she takes another one at 8. She'll be like, oh, I took 2 Benadryls. I hope I don't die. And so me as a kid, I would stay up all night and look at her constantly to make sure she was breathing.
Yeah.
And it was just like kind of this one-off comment. And so now that I'm an adult living with generalized anxiety, she just does not understand. She understands it, and she kind of feels guilty because it has come up in conversation that, look, I'm like this because my childhood, I always, like, my heart was always kind of like this. And it was because everybody around me was just always on 10, that I had to kind of always be on alert. And when you push things onto your children, you're stifling their space to become who they are.
Yes.
Then what they do is they become, in most cases, the very worst version of you.
Yes.
That there is. And like, even with my nieces and nephews, I always tell them, because they come to me because I'm 10 years younger than my brother. So I'm like the cool aunt who, like, listens to Dreamville. And so they always come to me and they say, oh, my parents don't understand this, or they don't understand that. And I have to explain it to them from both sides of the coin. But I always let them know and reinforce that sometimes you are going to do things that your parents do not like and they do not understand. As long as this is not hurting you or hurting another person, putting you in jail or putting you on crack, then go for it. Do it. Follow your heart, because your parents, they have their blinders on, you know, a lot of times, especially that generation, like those 70s babies, they have their blinders on where they only see what they want to see. Just like you say with Caribbean families, of like, you should go to nursing school. And like, my sister-in-law, she was pushing my nephew to go to art school for drawing. And she pushed him to go to like one of those for-profit schools. And I'm just like, look, girl, I've been there. Don't put this boy in debt when he could just go sign up for Fiverr. Yeah. Post some of his pictures. Yeah. Get customers that way. Now they have so many different outlets. So I just feel like, pushing that parental agenda that gets pushed, it just turns your children into a version of yourself that you probably wouldn't even like. Right. Because it strips it of all of the good parts of you, and just all you have left is a person who reflects your flaws.
Right. And I already had that college conversation with Anya. It's so funny, when she was like 6. She was like, do I have to go to college? I was like, no. I was like, if you want to go to college, you're not signing no loan papers. I'm not signing no loan papers for you to go to college. Make sure you do great academically in school.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you think you wanted to go to school for, look for any grants and have somebody pay your way to go to college for free so you don't have to be in debt like me because I'm
Mm-hmm.
still paying back school. And my salary does not cover even for a year the cost of what I need to pay
Mm-hmm.
back. And it's no fun trying to adult, trying to mom, trying to be your own entrepreneur knowing you owe someone money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right?
You starting off the hole in that
Listen,
stuff.
and if I knew what I know now, if I was my mother, I would have told myself at 17, I'm proud of you. I'm happy that you're graduating college. I mean, high school. You do not have to go to college right now. You can work. We can work on getting you a loan to start a business. Is there something you would
Mm-hmm.
like to do? That way, you're
Mm-hmm.
accumulating money on a,
Yeah.
you're growing a business. And by now, with Instagram, Facebook, the ability to have your own website, the ability to have a free website, Shopify,
Right.
I probably could pay my way through college if I still wanted to go. And you could go to college at any age.
At any time.
But
Exactly.
back then it was just so important. College was all over the TV. People were going to college. It was like the thing to do. What are you going to do after
Mm-hmm.
you go to school? Nobody was talking about, oh, I'm just going to work. People were like, I'm going to this school. I'm going to that school. I'm going to this school. Oh, I got accepted to this. It was like the only thing you could think of from like 10th grade all the way up to 12th
Mm-hmm.
grade. And I thought that's what I was supposed to do. That's why I did it. And I wish I would have waited.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had such a huge fear of failure at
Mm-hmm.
that point in my life that I was just grasping for straws.
Mm,
And that's how I wound up where we went to school
mm,
because I was just like, I have to, it's not that because I love fashion.
mm-hmm,
It is like my one true passion. I'm a creative,
mm-hmm,
left brain thinker. But this particular school, I was just kind of like, well, I'm not gonna make it um if I go to Clark. I'm not gonna make it if I go to Howard. I have
mm-hmm,
to go where I'll be accepted and where I know that I have some level of control over
mm-hmm.
my success and my failure. It to me, a lot of it was imposter syndrome, where like
Yes.
you feel like you just don't deserve to be in any room that you're in.
Mm-hmm,
It took a long time for me to get out of that. And a lot of that was going back to the kind of the way that I grew up. And it
mm-hmm,
wasn't so much that the people in my life, the people that raised me were bad people or they weren't verbally abusive or physically abusive or anything like that. But my brother, like I said, he's much, much older than me and he was kind of a problem child.
mm-hmm,
So I act more like a middle child than a
mm-hmm,
youngest
mm.
because I will fade into the background like the lizard from Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Like you never know. I'm like Homer Simpson in those bushes so quick that you won't even know that I was there.
Yeah.
And when I got around to the age where I was going to college, I just wanted to be in a place where I could say I can excel here and I
Mm.
won't have to step outside of my comfort zone to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm paying the price for that now.
Boy, are
Like
we
in such a major
though?
way. In such a major way.
Yeah, it's just like as a parent, I will say like I do want my kids to be great, but I want them to be so within their own greatness. It's not even funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um Someone asked me in the episode, would I want my child to be successful and barely see them throughout the year, or would I want them to just be okay and work a okay job and I can see them a lot? And I was like, I want them to be very successful and I barely see
Yeah.
them
Right.
because that's what all these years were for. All
Mm-hmm.
these years was that time with me. Now, if you're going to be a whole adult and you're going to put all my teachings into practice, I need you to go flourish. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a parent that feels like I'm going to forever parent you until the casket drop. No, I want to
Mm-mm.
be available after my kids are like 25. I want to be available for them only when they need me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need some advice, call me. I'm probably on a boat.
Yeah.
Well, I'm probably not gonna be on a boat because I don't want to be on a boat. I'm probably on a plane. I'm probably on a desert somewhere, but I'll give you my best honest opinion. But you got this because you're not dumb. You're smart. I gave you all your
Mm-hmm.
tools. You're in good hands. Of course, I'm gonna have some great friends that you can call before you could have to call me. And I don't want to hog their space. I don't want to hog their growth. I
Yeah.
want to make them have that space and be able to figure out their own challenges. And today's parents is like, oh, my child shouldn't have to think that hard, or they shouldn't have to be challenged, and everybody's a winner. And what happened to the trophy for fourth place? And what happened to the trophy for seventh place? Oh, they showed up. They don't get anything. The reality is no. The reality is there's. Hey there, people. Hope you're enjoying the show. Don't forget to check out Cozy Womb Shop, okay? The link is in the bio. You can also reach the shop at www.whoisshan.com. On Cozy Womb Shop, my thing that I'm going for right now in the t-shirts is good colors, good fun colors for the kids, for mom, for dad, unisex, and some new masks and some new colors. And I'm focusing on spreading love and getting love, okay? So on there, find what you're into. I have stickers, I have hoodies, and I have mugs, okay? But we got to get into this new season of Cozy One Podcast while you enjoy your merch. Let's go.
Here we go.
Back to the show.
Back to the show.
First place,
Right.
second place, third place, and the rest of y'all, thank you for coming.
Right. These children are so coddled. And I mean, it's crazy because my parents are coddling, or my mother now is coddling my nieces and nephews. Now, mind you, my oldest, and even my husband's parents are doing the same thing. My oldest niece and nephew are like 25. I have two that are 19. I have one that's 18.
Wow.
And these kids are getting more help than a little bit. And I'm like, wait a minute. Nobody held my hand at this point in my life. And so now when they call auntie, it's like, oh, you only call auntie if you got your stuff together because she's going to read you for filth.
Yeah.
And that is just, I don't know how to be any other way. I don't know what your grandparents are doing and why all of a sudden they're like cotton candy softies.
Yeah.
But these kids are so coddled, and you get, you know, you got these, like you said, participation trophies. No, you don't get a trophy because you participate. You get a trophy when you win.
Yeah.
Or come very close to it.
Yeah.
So I don't think that there are very many people who are doing the things that you're doing to, like you say, set their children up for success, because then you get these children that are in like the 18 to 25 age range, which, you know, I know I didn't think this when I was 25, but 25 is still a baby.
Yes, 25 was the first time I was like, I was at my 25th birthday party in New York. My friends threw me a surprise dinner, and that was the first time I felt like, damn, I can't fuck up anymore. Like, if I mess up, it's on me. If I don't do something right, it's on me. Now the utilities got to be in my name. Now I'm going to have to drive myself and be in charge of whether I live or die. That right there, driving, I got my license when I was 28 or 29. Because I said, there's no need for me to get a license living in New York. There's no need for me to get a license being in Philly. And I said, I'm not getting a license until I have kids. And so when I was pregnant with Anya, I was like, okay, now I gotta go back down south, get a license, get a car, get a house, work some jobs that I probably won't like. And I was running away from the fact that I had to be in charge of Chantal.
Yeah.
I had my brothers if I wanted to go somewhere. I had my uncle. I had whoever I was talking to take me somewhere. If I was at school in college and I left one of my notebooks at home, I would call and be like, "Hey, can you go by the house and get my notebook and bring it to me? You want me to drive up to Buckhead? Yes, I do. Can you bring it to me?" And they would bring it to me, and I'm just like, I'm not saying I wasn't spoiled, but I knew who to ask certain things to, so they won't tell me no.
Yeah.
And that is bad for children and teens and young 20 people, because you never grow when someone won't tell you no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah. And even being as independent that I was, because I graduated high school at 16. I was moved out at 17. I was married at 19. The only thing that I really did late was college, because I graduated from high school and I took some time off from school and things like that, just to get my household right and have a job and things like that. But even as stable as I was, I knew that I had that comfort, that security blanket there, where if I called my father or my father-in-law, or even having my husband there, because there's a lot of, like, he stopped me from doing a lot of crazy stuff. So that you have that security blanket, and you don't realize how much you use it until you make the decision to say, I'm actually going to be independent and, independent mover and thinker. And then you look back and you're like, well, dang, like I really did have a lot of tools a lot of resources at my disposal that kept me from having to make the tough decisions, because I knew I always had something I was going to clean up after me if I did the wrong thing, So it's a difficult thing, simply because, and now he's going to start barking. I know I should have put him in his kennel. It's a difficult thing because you have to let kids know that you're there for them. Yeah. But you also have to do the things that is going to make them strong and independent when they need to be. It's a very, very fine line. But I feel like a lot of families, they're so toxic, and like they have these generational curses and these circles that can't be unbroken, that they don't have the tools to teach their children how to be anything, productive, or how to just how to come at life, in a way that's healthy. Like, I can't teach you how to be healthy if I'm not healthy, if there's something intrinsically wrong with me. So I think that that's like one of the biggest obstacles, especially in the Black community, because we have so many generational curses that don't seem to be anywhere near being broken, that just get perpetuated over and over and over again. Yeah. And it's like, how do you come back from that? How do you raise a whole new generation of people who are going to be able to stop this particular horrible, toxic thing that we do to ourselves, when you just don't have the tools and the resources to help anybody through that? Well, I tell you this, you gotta do it your way. You gotta do it different. Like, I took my butt to therapy for I want to say I went for like 8 months, because I got tired of walking around with other people's shit on my back. Yeah. In order to allow other people to live a life of discomfort illusion. And I got tired of being angry at people that I loved, but I'm angry because I don't feel like you showed up in my life the way you were supposed to show up. Yeah. And I realized that I was being very short with my kids, because if the real reason on why I'm upset from this morning has festered and it gotten to the point of now I'm cooking and you just did something childlike because you are a child, and now it's all over the floor and I'm mad.
my anger and my voice and my strength is going to be from this morning's anger, not this
Mhm.
instant. And I kept finding myself just really be on 10 when all this instance needed with this child right here is like a 1.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I was like, this is coming from somewhere else. I was tired of like really wanting to go at next and follow people in traffic because they did something stupid like cut me off or
Mhm.
just not paying attention. I'm just really like on 10 and I'm just like, what is going on? And I was like, let me take myself to therapy. And I just talked to this lady that felt like someone's older auntie. And people have this illusion that therapy is supposed to fix you. Therapy doesn't fix you. Therapy is basically a complete stranger listening to you with an unbiased opinion about what you're
Mhm.
talking about and the people you're talking about and giving you mental tools that you can use without them to find solutions. And
Right.
then once you get to a point where you've practiced these mental tools enough to not need to come back as often, or see them as often, you'll be fine. It's not saying you once you go to therapy, you're doomed. You go in there until the casket drop. No, you're going to therapy until you don't need to anymore and you can
Right.
solve your problems by yourself. And
Yeah.
that's what it was for me. And I welcomed Anya going to therapy when Arya's my youngest daughter's dad and I broke up and it turned into like a domestic
Mhm.
issue. And they were
Yeah.
really close and she heard it. And she
Uh,
day in and day out, she saw me go to court probably like over 20 times with him.
mhm.
And I still was trying to keep it where he can still visit with Aunt Aria at the time and see Aria and get Aria. And it was just really weird. And she was having issues where she felt like it was unfair that Arya gets to go with him and she doesn't. Or
Um.
he only picks up Arya and he doesn't pick her up, or he doesn't talk to her
Yeah.
anymore. And legally, I can't do this. And they're used to doing this. And it was just really awkward. Like, even now, where he'll come get Arya and drop her off, or they'll FaceTime, I could see that she wants to talk to him. She
Mhm.
wants to hug on him. She wants to understand like what is okay now,
Yeah.
but she's not verbalizing it because she doesn't know if she can or she's supposed to, or
Mhm.
that's not my dad, so I can't do that anymore. So I mean, and because that's not her dad, I can't say, oh, you need to do this for Anya. That's not my place. If you like
Mhm.
to, you can. But I just have to watch that slowly creep back. But
Yeah.
it's weird. But with kids, you just have to be open to the fact that you don't have all the answers and you're not
Yes.
going to be able to guard them from everything, but you have to acknowledge everything.
Absolutely.
So, like that parenting style of, oh, you are right, just go outside and go play. That's not
Yeah.
me. That's not me at all.
Yeah. And it's that it's so the sweeping things under the rug. It
Yeah.
doesn't do anything for anybody. It just teaches your child how to be emotionally unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like they do wind up going through their whole lives. My husband is like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
he can totally act like, not, I won't say act like, because really I don't, his heart beats so slow, I don't know if these things really just do not bother him. But for him, like, he can go through something and I would looking at him in horror, like, that is so traumatic, that's
Mm-hmm.
terrible. And he's just like, oh well, it is what it is. You
Yeah,
kick rocks,
I have a brother where he's like my mom. Whenever a problem comes up or a child is crying or a child hurts themselves, he just freezes up. He doesn't know how
Mm,
to comfort or console, or
mm-hmm.
I don't know, she. She hit her head. Sir, you got daughters, sir. I'm gonna need you to go and do your thing. But even with that, because his personality is so like my mom, he just, any type of drama is a shutdown.
Yeah.
Any type of issue is a shutdown. So it's like super important that people are aware that you have to show up in a different way when it involves kids, because they need to understand how they can show up for another kid as they get older eventually in the way that they're supposed to. Because like you said, if you are emotionally unavailable and your mom was emotionally unavailable, there's no way that you can show this person over here what they need.
Exactly.
There's no way.
And I mean, I think that our generation is getting better with, like you said, going to therapy, finding it okay for our children to go to therapy. And they don't even really have to go through this like traumatic experience for it to be helpful. Sometimes they just need a way to get things out and know that, hey, it's okay for me to have this dialogue. And I think that that's something that like baby boomers and generations before us, they didn't really understand the value of getting things out and being able to use your words, being able to express when something is not right or doesn't sit right with you without being violent or temperamental, being able to kind of sit. That's one of the things I feel like happened right in my family is like a lot of people, how they say, oh, you know, kids shouldn't be in grown folks' business, or like send the kid away when they're having conversations, that sort of thing. My family did not do that. Like I was right there in the dining room at the table with everybody when they were having conversations and working through things and talking about, you know, sorry situations. And I feel like that helped me in my communication skills. That's why I communicate so well today, because I was never baby. Like my mom with me, it wasn't no vajayjay or, you know, none of those cute little words that people,
girl, you
I got to pop in the mouth.
I said, Anya, I said, who used the toilet? Ari was like, Anya did. I said, Anya, did you use the toilet now, flush? Yes. I said, so I said, I hope your vagina falls off because you're not using tissue. Like, I'm very out with it because they need to know.
Exactly. Because you cannot, then you raise children. It's absolutely true what they say when they say like Catholic schoolgirls be the wildest and the preacher's kids be the wildest, because they're so sheltered. They get out into the world and everything just looks like sparkly unicorn pee.
Yeah.
And they try everything until they drive themselves into a hole. Whereas if you have a child and you actually let them experience things and let them communicate about those experiences, when they get out into the world, all of this ain't nothing to them because their mother already told them, their father already told them what to expect, what this is, what's the real deal. And then when you become adult, like me, my mom did all that. My father did all that. My grandmother, my brother, everybody did all that. Then when I got out into the world, when I turned 17, 18, I decided I wanted to raise hell. And I just did it. But I had all the information that I needed to make these decisions. And so I think it's just, it's a double-edged sword. It can be too much and it can be not enough.
Yeah.
But when your parents impose upon you values that might not even be important to you, you can find yourself lost, and that's not a great feeling, because I've been there. And it is a terrible feeling.
So what advice do you have for any young adult or someone who is probably becoming like a first-time parent and they're like drowning in guilt or imposter syndrome, like you said earlier, that they're not going to be able to do it right because their parent was that parent that was, you know, with the parental syndrome?
I would say the the biggest thing is to get out of your own way and get out of your child's way. The biggest part of a parent-child relationship is going to be communication. And if you are stifling your child's communication and you're not allowing them to give you clues and let you know what they need from you, then you're going to close them out. And that's going to create a tear in the relationship. It's going to bring resentment and, you know, all of these kinds of harsh feelings. So you have to allow your child that gateway of open communication. And I don't mean just conversation and talking, but allow them to have their own, like you said, creative outlets. Allow them to tell you what they need from you. If they need to talk to somebody, if they need to exercise, listen to them, hear them, and let them have that communication with you. If they want to do something, if they have that communication with you and they tell you that they want to do something that's unhealthy to themselves or someone else, then yes, of course, you want to talk to them about that situation and work through it. But if you have a child who is telling you, hey, I want to do this a different way, I maybe want to be an entrepreneur. Maybe your child comes to you and says, I want to go onto teespring.com and make some t-shirts and see who buys them. Allow that communication. And then once you, like, if you know better, if you know, okay, so Susie is not just going to go onto teespring.com and create some t-shirts. Nobody is going to buy them if she doesn't market her product. Find a healthy way to express to your child that you have valuable input. Because I think that's another thing that parents do is they condescend and they talk down to their children.
Yes.
And I'm going to close my ears to that.
Yeah.
Completely. I don't care how I would close my ears to that at 7, 17, or 37. Like, it does not matter. Facts. So find a healthy way to let your child know that you have lived your life and you have experience with something, as opposed to wagging your finger at them, because nobody is going to receive that information.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I'm really big on telling my kids my failures. Especially like with Anya, she's in first grade, but I've been teaching her third grade math, and she's really good at it. Like, she does it when she's bored, which is surprising because I hated it.
Yeah.
But I tell her, like, all the time, I said, I was horrible at math. I was so horrible in math that it got to a point where, like, 6th, 7th grade, I would just draw on the borderline of my paper and not put my name. And my teacher would be like, all right, Chantal, this must be your paper. And I'm just like, yes, it's mine. It seems like, girl, you know, you didn't even get through 50% of the page. I didn't, because I knew that timer was going to go off. And I was like, you know what? Forget it, because I'm going to get them wrong anyway. That was me as a kid. And I want her to know, like, man, if you get something wrong, it's not the end of the world. But if you don't try, you'll never know. And I had a mom where if she saw me leave math for like the last thing for my homework, and she didn't get it and I didn't get it, and I was getting frustrated, and I had the water marks on the paper that's messing up the paper, she'll be like, oh, let me just write a note on it and tell your teacher she didn't understand and I didn't understand, and don't worry about it, just go to bed. I don't want to be that parent, because my mom made me feel like it's okay for me not to challenge myself. My mom made me feel like it's okay for me not to try. And all I needed was like some parent to sign it, and I'll be like, okay. And so I push her, but not in a way of pushing her like, you can't have fun. You know, you're on punishment, so do work. I don't want that to be her punishment, but I want her to be so prepared before the grade comes up that she's going to be in, that she doesn't feel defeated.
Yeah.
I don't want her to feel defeated. So I introduce things to her early. Like you said, babying your kids. I never talk to Anya in a baby way. I talk to her like a grown adult all the time. That's why she was like spelling her name and spelling my name at 3. She was writing and reading at 4 and 5. And I just been like on her, because I know she could do it. I know she's capable of it. And I also know that her and her sister are different. So Ari's
Mm.
completely opposite. Ari's like, girl, I know you're trying to do these sight words, but let me show you this dance real quick. And I'm just like, it's not time to dance. I was like, you gotta sit down and we gotta go over these words. We going over like the countries and the cities and stuff. And she was like, Utah. Mom, let me tell you something. I'm just like, no. But you know, they're different, but they're when Anya's learning, she wants to. If Anya's not there, she's in like la la land. But I know I have to completely separate her from the mix in order for her to pay attention. So that's just her. So I'm teaching them differently. Anya's more independent. Arya's like, you have to be on top of her. So that's gonna be slightly difficult. But I think as a parent, it's important for you to know that your kids are different. And just because you learned a different way doesn't mean it's gonna work for your kids. And part of not pushing you on your kids. So you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah. And you gotta, as a parent, I feel weird saying this because I don't have children, but I've raised 13 nieces and nephews.
Yes, but you can't say because you observe children and you've been around it. You've been in it.
Yeah, they're all alive, so I think I did okay. But you, as a parent, you have to learn to read the room.
Yes.
Because children, first of all, children are going to mirror whatever you're giving them. Whatever attitude or energy or aura you're giving them, they're going to mirror that right back because they're sponges. All they know how to do is take what you give them and give it back to you.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then another thing is you have to learn the best communication style that your child responds to, because everybody is going to respond to things differently. Yeah. And for me, I just find it mystifying that people think that I don't know. It's like they think children are like half of a person or less than a person. They're small, but they're still a human being. They still have the same wants and needs that you have as a fully grown adult. You just have to be sensitive to that. And if you're not, you can break a kid. Like you don't have to be physically abusive to break your child or to have them kind of short circuit somewhere along the line. So it's really, really important, especially like I see the way that you are raising your girls and the way that you interact with them. And to me, it really looks like, it looks like fun slumber party, but it also looks like two girls who really trust that their mother has their very best interests at heart. You can tell when a child is like skittish and they really don't know what's going to happen from moment to moment. And a child who is just so comfortable with their parent that they can just kind of be at ease and be a kid. And they know that parent is going to intercept and block anything that's going to disturb that.
Yeah.
Even if it's only in their adolescence. And so like I have nothing, I love your two wild babies.
Girl. Come get them.
Hey, I'll come get them if I can bring them back. That's the best part. But I feel like it's just it's so refreshing to see the way that you're raising them. Oh Jesus, this dog. Sorry, y'all, doggy. It's refreshing to see the way that you're raising them because you can tell that it's a really healthy dynamic.
Yeah. I try my best for the girls to understand that they're safe and I have them. And yes, mommy has fun, but mommy also knows how to use the leathers if she needs to. Okay. Right. Yes, mommy has fun and we can go to the park and stuff, but mommy also keeps her gun in the front. And you don't come up here,
Right.
And that's one thing I would say was missing for me as a little girl with my mom is me feeling safe. I never felt protected because my mom will always freeze up in confrontation or challenge. So I try my best to be that, but I also try my best to not always be like Did I feed you? Do you have clean clothes? Do you have a house? Did I
Yeah.
pay the bills? Did you go to school? Did I pick you up? Did I make sure you have toys? But did you tell me you love me today? Did you hug on me
Yeah.
today? Were you gentle with me today? Did you let me speak today? Did you allow me to speak, or did you cut me off? Like, I'm always mindful of, sorry, let me let you speak. Oh, I thought you was gonna say this. And that gives, like, Anya, especially, she'll tell me, like, when I get in trouble with you, I don't tell you everything I did right away because I don't want you to be mad at me. And I was like, girl, if I'm already upset, that is your best time to tell me everything. Because if I find out something later that you was hiding,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be really upset. And she was like, well, yesterday when I was cooking the quesadilla, and I was like, yeah. She was like, I burnt myself, but I'm okay. It's on my finger. And I went to pick up the pot and I put the pot on your seat and it burnt your seat a little bit. Here it is. I'm just like, okay. I was like, so we just gonna chill on you cooking, because she's in this phase where she wants to be more independent and cook and clean and know how to cook things. But I'm just like, girl, not if you ruining my cushion seats. So,
Right.
but I'm glad she told me. I'm not mad that she did that, because she just did it in a panic. But it's just like, I don't want them ever to feel like they can't tell me something because I'm going to explode too early or premature or all of this. So it's all balance. It's all balance and checking myself all the time. And even if I blow up or I get mad and I punish them, afterwards I explain to them the why. Because I think we came from a generation, if we got disciplined, nobody told us the why. It was like, our type of sorry from our parents was like, you hungry? There's food on the table for you.
Yeah.
No, I need an apology. I would like an apology. But I'm really good at apologizing if I was wrong, or just pausing a little bit and just reflecting on, like, you know what? You really went ham on that. That was completely unnecessary. I'm just like, dang, right. And I really backtrack on that, but that's what I feel like I'm supposed to do as a mom. And I'm very honest, even like, let's say if her dad falls short, I'm not gonna bash her dad in front of her.
Yeah.
Like, she knows, she's old enough to know, like, you know what, my dad really doesn't do everything my mom does. And you can see that in their conversation because they don't know how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So parental syndrome, I get it. I understand it. I'm down with it. Hi, doggy, you all up in the mix. That's like a real kid.
This is my quarantine.
Her dog has been right there by her as if I'm violating by having this recording. What's up?
He is like, and he is so finicky because we literally got him at the beginning of everything of COVID-19. So we got him in, like, I want to say March, and then April, everything shut down. So he does not do people, noises, sounds, cars, none of that stuff.
Wow.
So now I got to do a whole reboot on this puppy. He's got all kinds of stuff going on. Child, don't get me started, but he's cute.
Yeah, he's cute. Everybody's like, you know what, you should get the girls a dog. I said, you know what? A dog right now is like a third kid, and I cannot.
It is a lot. It's definitely a lot. The only reason why he works for me right now is because me and Derek are on opposing shifts. So when I'm coming home, basically he's just left. So we have like somebody to take him out and things like that, and somebody's here with him in the day and then at night. But yeah, it's a lot, girl. Especially if you got a full-time job and kids. I wouldn't have a dog to think about.
I'm just like, sign me up for this adulting stuff. But
right.
I say this every time. Every time I come home with that long Walmart receipt, I'm just like, please let these kids grow up to be great people and make this worth it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh man, because that's what it is. Thank you for coming on the show today. Any last words you want to give the people and remind the people where to catch your show and the name of your show, please?
Absolutely. So you can catch me on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. So I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Music. And now I'm on Audible. It's weird.
Yes.
But I'm also on Audible now. That was news to me the other day. Exactly. But that is I'm at Instagram at Grown Ass Folk No S Podcast.
Yes.
And yeah, listen in. We get wild and crazy over there.
I love it. I'm gonna definitely catch it and post them, and I'll have all your ats in the description when I post. But thank you for coming on Cozy Womb. You're welcome back anytime, as long as the topic can be used for parents and kid-like things. And I would like to have you on She Gets It podcast also, but we will chat about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been looking forward to that invite because I be having something to say every episode.
Okay.
The commentary be real.
Okay, so we'll work. I'll work on that. But thank you for coming to Cozy Womb, and we will check you guys later. Thank you guys for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.